where in first physical meeting in 2022 at Bangalore, we had a huge response. And that time, the SOGO came into really existence. And that's what I say, landmark step. Now then, our vision, what is our vision? Vision is multidisciplinary. And again, this goes back what Vedang said. Dr. Kamath had decided to have a joint clinic, sir, if you recollect, joint clinics. And that's made me to think, why not bring in all? And this is the first society, I may say, with all permission of that, this is the first society which offers primary membership to all the disciplines involved in this urological cancer, which is not there in SUO, neither in SIU, nowhere. So I think we are the first to have this society which brings in all practical people as a primary member. Second vision of ours is, in 1 year time, we have already been member of a World Uro-Oncology Federation. And thanks to my all colleagues who are really enthusiastic. And they realized, when I sent them what we did in 1 year, they said, yes, you are welcome. You become a part of WOF. So we are the first non-urological society of SUO, number 2. Third, what is our next vision? Next vision is to have a zonal chapters and promote all these activities. This is a totally academic. It is not concerned with anything. And we don't want a big shusha. This is the only level 2 meeting of any scientific committee. With this remark, you enjoy this whole 1 year, 2 days of program, and we will be focusing in all details. Plus, we will also recommend, as you rightly said, that we should give feedbacks to us and say what more can we do. With this remark, I thank you very much and have a very good afternoon.
Thank you, Dr. Kulkarni. It's now time to acknowledge and appreciate the efforts of all who have worked together to make this conference a grand success. I now invite Dr. S.K. Raghunathan, the Secretary of SOGO, to propose a vote of thanks.
Very good afternoon. Dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, ladies and gentlemen. It's my proud privilege to propose vote of thanks. At the outset, I would like to thank SOGO Core Committee for giving their support to conduct this, particularly Professor J.N.K. Kulkarni sir and Dr. Raval sir and all my friends. I thank Organizing Secretary Dr. Ganesh Bakshi and the Program Director Dr. Vedang for conducting this in a best possible way. I also thank the Scientific Committee. I must congratulate and thank Dr. Sanjay, Dr. Ganesh and the team for giving one of the best, or probably I would say the best scientific program. And I also thank Dr. Kamath sir, our chief guest, for blessing us and giving insights into uro-oncology. I thank Dr. Anita Borges Madam for accepting to give the oration. I thank all the faculty, national and international, particularly Dr. Badrinath Konati and Dr. Shilpa Gupta. I thank all the delegates, again, national and international. We have few delegates from abroad. I thank them. I thank TMH for giving this auditorium. Thank Pharma for their support, and I thank event managers for giving this travel and other facilities. Thank you one and all. I wish you all enjoy this scientific program, scientific phase. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Raghunathan. May I now request all the dignitaries on the dais except Dr. Kulkarni and Dr. Vedang Murthy to please step down from the stage and be seated in the audience as we are about to begin with our oration.
He wants a picture.
Ladies and gentlemen, this year's oration has been bestowed upon someone for whom excellence is not a skill, but an attitude. Her smile is her logo, and her personality her trademark. She lights up a room with her presence and her brilliance. I call upon Dr. Ganesh Bakshi to escort Dr. Borges onto the stage. Sorry, you can't do two things at the same time. I failed to notice that you were busy here. Dr. Santosh Menon is doing the honors. Thank you, Dr. Menon. And sir, while you are there, may I also request you to please formally introduce Dr. Anita Borges ma'am, though she needs no introduction. But for people from out of India who need a little bit about her, can you please introduce her?
Thank you, Dr. Gambata. Thank you, Ganesh. I got the opportunity to escort Madam to the stage. I think Madam needs no introduction. She's a stalwart in her own field and she's a well-known personality. But I wrote a few points about you, Madam, because I have the moral duty to introduce you and it's a pleasant honor and my duty to do this. Borges Madam is like a mother to all in this country. Any pathologist who has worked previously knows Madam. Clinicians all over the country respect her immensely because she has been a stalwart in her field. She's an amazingly intellectual lady who makes everyone think, and that's very, very important. There are many who can teach, who can feed you, but there are very few teachers who can make you think on your own, and that's a beautiful quality in her. She inspires us to do better and push ourselves. Her inquisitiveness and curiosity and ability to question questions is something which is unique to her, and it has really charted her path and her way of interpreting things. So that's an important thing. As a diagnostician, she's par excellence and she's got excellent clinical acumen. So most of the pathologists do their pathology, but her quality of integrating into clinical acumen is great. She was pioneer in this world. She has been in TMH, grown in TMH with her father. She's walked these corridors for years together. But she thought that the invisible pathologist needed more, and she brought the invisible pathologist to the forefront. I have heard stories about her that when she was sitting in frozen section, the surgeons would send their residents and ask, is Dr. Borges in the frozen room? Should we send a frozen? Because she would question, what is the need for this frozen? Why unnecessarily waste the time? Why do you trouble the pathologist? So surgeons, top class, dreaded surgeons of TMH used to always ask, only send a frozen if Dr. Borges is not in. So that's her quality. I think that's important. Very, very important quality. I won't reveal her age, but for so many years, she is inspired, and her zeal and enthusiasm for teaching is unparalleled, actually. So if you look at pandemic last 2-3 years, there was no teaching in pathology. She started the virtual platform of OTPPG, and now I am happy to say that it's got 13,000 students from more than 100 countries who follow those virtual. A big hand for the applause for Madam. And you won't know, she sits at 7 o'clock in the evening and the sessions go on till 9 in the night, and Madam has that energy and zeal and enthusiasm to sit across the whole session. It's just amazing, Madam. It amazes me and I am inspired every time. I think if there was a Bharat Ratna in pathology, Madam, you would get it every year. Not once. Every year you would get it. On a personal note, Madam, you have been a mentor and a mother to me in many ways. And I really get inspired. Whenever you say that, Santosh, let's go for a coffee, I really, it brings a step into my mind for a coffee or drink. And she has got really infectious endorphins. And this oration is going to spread this endorphin in all of you, and you will have the spring of step. With that thing, ma'am, I would like you to deliver your, welcome you to deliver your oration. Thank you.
Well, I have a lot to be thankful for today. I'm standing here listening to things that I never thought I would hear when I was actually around. So, Santosh, I think you have embarrassed me in many ways, but thank you anyway for the embarrassment. I have a lot to be thankful for, I said, because, you know, when you reach my age, and yes, I will also not tell you how old I am, you do expect that your peers in your profession, and I mean, I've been a surgical pathologist most of my professional life, you will be bestowed some kind of awards, just for the sake of having been there all this time. But when your colleagues in the clinical branches and those who really are don't have to recognize your work, when they recognize this and actually ask you to award you with an oration, I tell you, it touches me very deeply. So thank you, the office bearers of this, and in particularly my friend and longtime colleague, Dr. Jagdish Kulkarni. I said yes immediately because I don't think that you could look a gift horse in the mouth, okay? This is something that I had never expected, and therefore I have very gladly accepted. Thank you very much indeed. I am, yes, very deeply touched. You know, I was asked to talk about changing paradigms, and I think that's what you have probably got listed in as the title of my talk. But I am not primarily a oncopathologist. Yes, I am an oncopathologist, whatever that means. I've been a surgical pathologist all my life, and I began to think, what do I know about the changing paradigms in uro-oncopathology? And then I thought, well, I've lived long enough, and I know what used to happen then, and I know to some extent what's happening now, and that's why, without your permission, Jagdish, I have changed the title of my talk to uro-oncopathology, then and now, and it's coming to you as a perspective from a generalist. Please remember, I am not primarily, like Santosh, a uro-oncopathologist. So what is it I'm going to actually talk about? Well, the first thing that I want to talk about is about it's really a unique furrow that has been plowed by uropathologists, okay? And I will tell you about that over here. It's unique because it just goes against all the principles that other pathologists, particularly oncopathologists, have taken for granted all their lives. And I'm going to touch on prostate cancer, about how Gleason came to be, and all, the tumultuous life of Gleason. Well, I'm talking about Gleason, I mean the classification of prostate and grading of prostate cancer. Then the urothelial tumors. And they have cancers that are not invasive. And that's very odd, and we can talk about it. Then, of course, you heard this morning about renal cell carcinoma and the molecular pathology of renal cell carcinoma. And I think that there are more tumors now than we know what to do with. So let's talk about that. Testicular neoplasms, you see here, when I was growing up, it was so essential to make the difference between a seminoma and a non-seminomatous germ cell tumor, because there were treatments that you could do only for seminoma, and if there was a non-seminomatous germ cell tumor, it needed to do something else, particularly from when it was metastatic and when the medical oncologists came onto the scene. Things have changed a bit. Of course, we need to know whether it's a seminoma or a non-seminomatous germ cell tumor, but you could surveil a seminoma once upon a time. Today, you can also surveil a non-seminomatous germ cell tumor, and all this has happened because of changes in imaging, changes in the way that we look on these tumors, because of the various ways in which we are able to look at biochemistry, and of course medical oncology has made a lot of difference. And somebody touched on penile cancers. I think it was Dr. Mathur. And I think the realization has come that HPV is not just a female problem, and we have a lot of penile cancers which unfortunately not much attention was paid to this disease. And I commend, Santosh and his colleagues, and they've been doing a lot on the plain, simple squamous carcinoma, which unfortunately has squamous carcinoma all over the world, not all over the world, sorry, in all over, the body is just considered as not a very glamorous tumor. So I'm not going to talk about all of this. I certainly am going to spend a lot of time talking about prostate cancer and urothelial carcinoma, and to some extent about renal cell carcinoma. So let's start with the prostate. And we have to start with Gleason. And I called him the quiet maverick, because Gleason did something that other pathologists would not even think about doing. All right, and if you see that, this Gleason grading system, and I'll tell you why Gleason was actually chosen. It was chosen to be the grading system because this system combines a dominant histological pattern and a subdominant pattern. Nobody bothers about that in any other branch, because what do we as oncopathologists or tumor pathologists do? What we normally do is that we look at things like hyperchromasia and how mitotically active something is. Does it have big nuclei or no nuclei? And we call all of this nuclear atypia. But all of this is given short shrift. There is no such thing in the Gleason classification. It's all about patterns. And if Gleason himself said, that he just abandoned all what he knew about classification of tumors, and he thought that, different histological pictures, he just thought about the different histological pictures that he was at the Veterans Hospital, that he could recognize, and he put this, these together in the best way that he could. And I think his mind was prepared for this kind of thing, because as a medical student,